Long ball number one as we get going here on Wednesday, September 24th. I'm Robert. He's Jason. The big news as we were going to bed last night, reporting coming out from multiple sources, including The Guardian, that USL is in the midst of securing a huge financial investment. News from about Bell Tower Investment, a gentleman known as Kiwan
K-Song.
Song Lee.
Song Lee. Yeah.
Bell
Sorry.
Tower throwing in a large sum of money, perhaps a table turning in the club soccer landscape here. If USL jumping up a notch as far as their financial capabilities. Again, Kusong Lee from Albany, part of the Bell Tower Group, investing large in USL.
Well, you say that. Hold on. You say that, Rob. But large. What do we know? Do we have a number? Do we
Well,
do we have
do we have a number? This
No, we
I
don't.
think
We don't
no.
have an I'll tell you. You're looking. I can see you squinting at the whatever page you're reading. There is no
Oh,
number.
I am
There's
picking up
no
my reading glasses today, so hopefully this lets a little.
Okay. Well, that's not why you're not seeing a number. You're not seeing a number because no number is included in this news. Now, we are digging into this a little bit ourselves. We got people that we know that cover the business of soccer in this country who are digging into it. And I hope that we can have one of those people on the show to give us a little insight into what's going on here in the very near future. But for the moment, all this is, and I'm not saying it's nothing, it's clearly something, but all this is a big investment firm is investing in USL. Now, again, that's a thing. It's important. They're certainly trumpeting it over on USL's website. It's making the news beyond their little world. But I don't know that we have a grasp on what this is yet. Now, I think it's pretty clear, though, that this has something to do with the launch of a first division league and the institution of Pro Rel. And if you read the press release over there on the USL website, I actually have a quote that I picked out. This is from Q Song Lee. The USL has built something rare in American sports, an independent, multi-tier league system of scale that is both high growth and impactful. We see durable demand for authentic, community-focused clubs, a favorable environment for public-private partnership, and significant upside for all stakeholders as the USL continues to expand its men's and women's pathways. We are excited to partner with the USL's management team and share their commitment to realizing the USL's next phase of its journey. Now, don't get it twisted here. While we do have this note in a Guardian piece by Alexander Abnos that Q Song Lee was involved in trying to get a stadium and mixed use development off the ground in Albany to support a soccer team, to be a home of a soccer team. And that was initially going to be MLS Next Pro, but now apparently is moving towards USL for obvious reasons. I don't know that we can say Q Song Lee, soccer guy, doing this for soccer reasons. This is not Bell Tower going, you know what? We really like soccer. Let's put some money into the game. They're looking at this as an investment, as you would expect. And the part that stands out for me, Rob, is it says a favorable environment for public-private partnerships. We get to access public money to help us build our mixed-use developments so we can all make cash on real estate.
So is a favorable environment for public-private partnerships? Does that mean that USL has done enough body blows to soften up the coin purses of local towns and municipalities to where they are nice and softened up and ripe for some public and private funds going into some investments? And I'll talk about scalable because we've been talking about the talking to 70 cities. Maybe this is a team in the box sort of a thing, and then maybe they've fertiled or enriched the land across the United States in order to make this a favorable environment for investment.
Look, this is all connected to that, right? So you have Justin Papadakis saying that they have talked to 70 cities. We've been talking about some of those cities that are in the early stages of exploring the possibility of having a professional soccer club in town. A lot of that has to do with either building a stadium or refurbishing an existing venue with public money largely. And again, this is what investors do. They want to make as much money as possible. It's the whole point of investing. And if you have a chance to get involved in something where you're not doing all the heavy lifting from a money perspective and you get to reap some benefit, then of course it makes sense. Again, not saying this is bad. I'm not saying this is negative. In fact, again, trying not to be too cynical about it, we don't get new clubs unless people with money decide to invest in soccer, and whatever their incentives are, I cannot be too precious about that. I cannot look at Bell Tower and go, yeah, well, they're not in this for the soccer. We shouldn't be involved with them. If I want soccer clubs to exist, if I want new soccer clubs to happen, if I want stadiums, proper homes, because that's so important to these clubs. You can start a team and play in a high school soccer stadium or football stadium. You can start a team and play in a major league, minor league baseball stadium, Rob. You can do those things, and we've seen it firsthand, and it can work on some level. But you are not going to be sort of immersed and enmeshed and connected directly to the community and have a sense of permanence, have a perception of permanence until you have your own building, until you have a soccer stadium and people go, oh, that, you know where the soccer team plays? They play at the soccer stadium. And it's their soccer stadium. Maybe the city owns it and they lease it, but it's still their soccer stadium rather than this thing of, well, we've got to convert the minor league baseball venue to soccer every 3 days or whatever it is. So again, can beggars be choosers? I think is part of the question here for us as fans. For them, for Bell Tower, they see the value in this. Now, there are some good questions here. This is Mike Thomas, one of our ultras. How does this work with it being a top-down investment? Do they provide financial safety nets to enable pro rel? That's a very good question. We have
TBD
information on what this is exactly about, right? So again, all these clubs in the USL structure, and I've had some people come at me in various social media forums when I pointed out that this was a real estate play. When I pointed out that comment from Q Song Lee that says public-private partnerships, favorable environment, this is a real estate play.
scalable.
Somebody came back to me and said, well, what about MLS? Look, first of all, not everything USL has to be about MLS. You don't have to come at me with MLS is bad just because I point out that something seems to be, from a USL perspective, in terms of this investment, a money play, not a joy of the love of the game play. That doesn't exist. Let's be realists about this. We're not going to get new clubs. We're not going to get a fully grown league. We're not going to get the USL structure we want. And it's not our first choice. Our first choice is MLS connected to the rest of the pyramid and everything works that way. But we're not going to get any of this, even the USL version, without people like Bell Tower saying that there's money in this and we want to make some. So that's what I would say to that, Rob.
Yeah, it seems like a turning of the tide. If this happens this way, one of the notes, we didn't see a specific number of going in USL, but one of the notes in the reporting at The Guardian was talking about that this group was involved in a $600 million proposal for a soccer stadium and mixed-use project in Albany, New York, connected to MLS Next Pro, but the focus has shifted to USL in the last year. So we're talking, or you were mentioning, we can't be too precious. Like if we want to dot the map and expand this and add more clubs, there has to be some big money people behind it. Obviously, MLS has the history supporting them, and they're in those circles with big money investors and corporate funds. Is this the turning of the tide where that investment class turns and looks at USL as a realistic
Rob,
option?
You're looking at this as a zero-sum game, just like the guy who came at me about MLS. This is not a zero-sum game. You said turning of the tide. In what way?
No, but a turning of the tide where there is corporate money and large kind of corporate money, investment money going to USL. Have they had? Obviously, we're talking hypotheticals and how much this investment could be, but it's signaling that big money folks are looking at USL as a viable option.
Sure. And there is value. There is publicity value just in Bell Tower investing in USL, right? Regardless of how much money is changing hands or how much money is coming in to USL. And again, maybe this is a backstop on some of those things, like Mike said. Like maybe this is a backstop on helping clubs survive relegation. Like, how do you convince owners to buy in? Well, hey, look, we're going to find somebody who's going to help us with that money when it happens, because they will get equity and they will find a way to make money off of what we're doing around the country. If the general value of USL goes up, that's good for Bell Tower, good for its private equity partners, and everybody's happy. And this is true too. Q Song Lee adds credibility to USL ambitions. It will help attract other investors to the club. Exactly it, right? You know, when big time investors who have good reputations, and I don't know Q Song Lee, I'm not in that world, but if you have somebody who has a good reputation in the world of investing and they go, I think money should go in this direction, other people go, oh, look at where he's going, I'm going to go copy him too. So that could definitely be a thing. That could absolutely be a thing. I wanted to point out this graphic that's on screen, because it was included in the press release on the USL website about Bell Tower investing in USL. And I don't know that it's new, but it does lay out the pyramid that USL is envisioning for its future. And it mentions specifically USL Division One, and then has the logos for the championship and League One. Now, there's lots of debate going on in the MK Ultras Discord as to whether or not it will be called USL Division One. Probably not, but I did want to include that because it was there. So, yeah, the pyramid is upside down. Well, in terms of clubs, it's not too many burgundies. It's just that there are more leagues at the top than there are, or brands at the top than there are brands at the bottom. That's all I would say to that.
And if you unsquint your eyes, that youth level has about 8 million more entities and brands outside of that youth. So that is the upside down version within the USL sphere. Also should be noted that Kuson Lee will be joining USL as a vice chair. So immediately into the decision maker positions.
Right. Going to have direct influence. That would indicate that this is a significant investment, at least in terms of percentage of what's going on. Again, we don't know the absolute number. We don't know what USL is valued at. We don't know what valuation they're using for this. And maybe that will all come out. And we're going to keep looking for people who have their ear to the ground. We're going to keep digging into this ourselves.
Yeah, keep a lookout for a special guest digging deeper into this developing story.